Now, I ask you to look at these things. Out of everyone contesting for the office of the governor in 2023, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak is the only one who has been able to show clearly and credibly what he can do for the people of Kwara State. This is our history. We have been there before. We had one in the past like him who could barely make order by himself for the interest of the people of Kwara State. And we saw the reality. So that kind of person who cannot even carry on the legacy of his family, is he the person you are expecting to lead our state credibly well in 2023?
As the general elections draw closer, politicians have again returned to the electorate to tie loose ends. On Politics in the Emirate, we take you through the minds of the aspirants. We ask questions that hit their ambitions, intentions, and aspirations. It's Politics in the Emirate, showing on Stemma TV.
My name is Ibraheem Abdullateef. I'm the Special Assistant to the Governor on Communication. I'm also a member of the Strategic Communications Committee for the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much. Well, I think there is no job or no position that does not come with challenges. And as a professional, you are expected to overcome all of these challenges to deliver your responsibilities. So, for me, I think even if there are some things that I would want to take place otherwise, I still recognize the fact that we have got to live with challenges, and we have got to turn some of them into the best for the actualization of the targeted goals. As a public relations practitioner, sometimes I'm often scared about the rate at which misinformation spread. Not only that it makes the job of public relations officers get more tedious, it is also hazardous to the general well-being of the society. So as a conscious and patriotic Nigerian, I'm always bothered about that. And another thing that I might also consider as a challenge in this profession is that you also have to be conscious of maintaining your personality, maintaining your integrity, even while you have to please the people or say things that go down well with the people. The job of a public relations practitioner is to make things that look awful to look less awful, to make things that is worth to look bad, to make things that look good to look excellent. And when you are at this, there is what we call personality disorder. There is what we call personality inconsistency, and because of the job you handle, you have to be very careful not to lose yourself in the process of the job. So I'm sure, as it is sometimes hard for me, is the same for every professional public relations person out there, because it comes with the terrain. You have to be good, and you have to be good. You have to be good to the people, but you also have to be good to yourself. That is me talking from the heart. But for me, so far so good, because I have a very good leader, and I also work for a very good and transparent government. I've had little of these challenges, but do you say everything has been rosy? Certainly not. But so far so good. I enjoy this job. I enjoy serving the people of Kwara State, and I look so much forward to doing more for the people and government of the state. Thank you. Like I was trying to say earlier, this job requires a lot of qualities, and part of this is integrity, patience, and empathy. You have to admit and recognize what people go through, every day. And then you also owe them the task of informing and educating them about the true situation of things. You are also responsible for providing or giving people hope, to ensure that you glue together, you confront a challenge or challenges together, for the greater good of the society. But because you speak for the government, and you are supposed to be the person who informs or educates the people about government programs, you are also in a position to provide hope and show empathy to them, so that the place of the government would not be misunderstood at the end of the day. Let me tell you a story about something called Sasu. It's about a certain leader who, in the face of war between his country and the other country, addressed the press and said, the press asked him about his intentions, about his next action, about a particular warfare ongoing in his country. And then when he was asked, he said something, and that what he said was taken wrongly by the media and the international community in general. This led to several attacks after that particular interview. So it is eventually understood that what he said was not what he meant, but because of the way he said it, it was taken wrongly. So sometimes when there is a crisis, you must be careful of what you say and the way you say it. And the way we say things actually matter most times than what we say. So for me, especially at this point in time, as a young people who understands what the youth go through in particular, because I'm from there, I try to speak to the reality, I try to speak the truth. I also try to inform the people about what naturally they do not know or might have been missing about the situation, to ensure that we stick together as a partner, to ensure that we stick together as a team, facing the challenge headlong instead of facing one another, engaging one another in a blame game. Because whatever situation a country or a state might be having on its hand, it still boils down to the fact that it must be solved. But the only way to solve it is when you stay together as a team, as partners, and not as people on different side of things, thinking it's we versus them or us against them kind of thing. So as young people, I think I've been trying very much to remain truthful, to remain empathetic, to remain informed too, so as to educate others, so as to inform others, so as to push for the solutions for the problem that we have at hand in the youth constituency and the nation in general. Thank you so much. There is a saying that fact speaks for itself. I want people to look back at where we are coming from. Some things were the focus, were the issues that led to Otoge, and contrary to people's belief, Otoge had actually begun since about 1989, and the issues were there and had been growing from that very year till 2019. And what were these issues? The issues are that the system that was in place before 2019 was not working for the generality of Kwarans. It was working for a few. Another thing you also need to understand as part of the issues was that the governance, the method of governance before 2019 in Kwara was also mediocre at best and not solving the problems of the people but scratching the surface. You also need to look at the development indices of the state before 2019. I mean, that will now take you to look at the education, to look at health, and standing in youth development and women engagement, security and several other things. And then when you now look at all of these things, you are just to ask yourself, if these things were in place, if these social amenities were being enjoyed by the people, why did they say Otoge, in 2019? So, like I tried to draw back, the issues had been in existence and had been growing worse from 1989 down to 2019 before the people eventually said, Otoge, enough is enough. Now, after the people said Otoge, seeking change and development of the state, this administration came on board to provide fresh breath and stability, for the people of Kwara State. So, what has it done? What has changed between the last 3.5 years? I invite you on a journey of analyzing the change in the education sector. For instance, before 2019, in the education sector, it was already glaring that the school infrastructure was in a bad place. Over 2,000 school buildings in this state were marked as being bad. And it speaks to the fact that before we came on board, there was little investment in basic education in the state, which has now made the school infrastructure to go bad. You also need to look at the fact that as at that time, Kwara students who participated in WAEC were already being fined for being involved in examination malpractice. You also need to look at the fact that Kwara teachers who were supposed to be teaching the students in several classes across the state were eventually discovered to be grossly incompetent or badly recruited for the job. So at the end of the day, education that was supposed to be the bedrock of transformation in Kwara State was already becoming the fabric of destruction of the state in totality. But when this administration came on board, it looked holistically at the state of education in the state, and it began massive revitalization of the sector by first assessing the UBEC grant, which provided the state with the financial war chest needed to develop the school infrastructure. It is on record today that this administration has renovated over 600 schools across the state. There is no single local government where one of these schools is not cited. No single local government in Kwara State. Shortly after that, this administration began a statewide, unprecedentedly fair and just recruitment process of 4,701 teachers to provide quality learning, quality teaching to students across the state. This was intended to change the face of public education in the state. And after that, this administration is also credited with the introduction of Kwara Land, an educational program, an educational policy that seeks to introduce the use of technology to basic education in the state. As I speak to you, from 4 Paifota local government, this Kwara Land has now moved to 10 local governments in the state. Within the first few months of introduction in the 4 local governments they were started with, the rate of public school attendance increased by 44%, and that is the trajectory across the state in the basic education sector. Kwara state government under Malam Abdulraham Abdulrazak is changing the face of it. Now, you might also want to look about the issue of water. Before this administration came on board, for several years, this state was reeling under an horrible condition of lack of water for public use. It got so worse to the point that people had even to queue on weekly basis for water tankers to deliver water, across the Ilorin metropolis. But I ask you as journalists today, when was the last time you saw a water tanker going about delivering water to people? So it speaks to the change we are talking about. And it is not magical. It simply speaks to the priority and focus of this administration, that people deserve access to clean, safe, and usable water, and they must get it anytime they want it. And that informs its decision of the governor, to fix over 14 water works across the state. The fixation, the rehabilitation of these water works is what led to the improved access to water in the state. From 6,000 households being connected to public water in 2019, this has increased to over 10,000 in the space of last 3.5 years. When you have that in place, you cannot say nothing has changed. So you also need to look at our indices in youth employment and poverty index. When we tell people that we are not here to share public money to people who don't need it, just to gain their favor or just to show might and superiority, what this administration is very much keen about is to put money in the hands of the deserving, the needy, to empower them for better life. And have you not started seeing change? The change is here. You just need to look at the report by World Bank that states that the multi-poverty index in Kwara now stands at 20.4 as at 2022, whereas you just have to look back in 2019, it stood at 30.4. So when you have that, it speaks to the fact that poverty index in Kwara, multidimensional poverty index in Kwara has dropped significantly by 10% in the space of 3.5 years. And then look at the unemployment rate. Before 2019, before this administration came on board, the MBS put Kwara unemployment rate at 21%. But under this administration, it has dropped to 16.6% in 2022. So it simply shows that this administration has not lost the focus to ensure that young people have a better and easier life to what we had in 2019. It also shows that this administration had been most supportive of the needy, most encouraging of enterprise in the state, to ensure that unemployment, begging, and several other attendant issues that come with it is tackled holistically. Then people also ask and say, how did you arrive at this? What did you do to get these figures? It is not magical. It boils down to action and policies that solve challenges. Before we came on board, this state never had a state-owned investment program. Or before 2019, did you know anything about or anything called QASIP? QASIP began in 2020 under this administration, and the thought and the projection was that this state had to add a safety net program that put money directly in the hands of people that support innovations and enterprises, and that is what we have been doing. Under Kwara State Social Investment Programs, we have over 100,000 beneficiaries across the 4 components, and you just need to look at the position of the youth before 2019 and today. Any state or any society that fails to empower or grant opportunity to youth to thrive and prosper is naturally making plans to fail to grow and develop. But in our case in Kwara, it is not the case. The youth now owns the state. You just need to look at the number of positions young people hold in government. You also need to look at the introduction of Kwarapreneur, which has now given millions of naira to young people to start trading or to support their enterprising ideas across the state. So for us as a government, for the people of Kwara State too, the change is clear across all the sectors, whether it is in education, health, water, youth engagement and women development. We have set the pace, and the government is very much poised to be returned based on the outstanding performance he has put up since the last 3.5 years. I love football. I used to play it, but time and event have taken that away from me. But I enjoy watching it as much now. So I watch football a lot, and I also watch comedy skits a lot. So when I'm on my phone and I'm not typing, I'm not writing, I'll probably be on Facebook watching comedy skits. Yeah. And I enjoy traveling too. If I had the time, you could find me in the cinema watching movies, and then you could see me attending events with my friends, because I'm an outgoing type. If I do not have anything doing, I enjoy being outside a lot. The choice is clear. There is no alternative to Governor Abdulraham Abdulrazak in the 2023 Guba post in Kwara. And he simply speaks to the fact that he has been able to show that he is the most competent, the most experienced, the most credible aspirant for the office of the governor. He has demonstrated by his virtue of performance that he has a special place for young people in his heart. The same thing for the women folk. So ideally, if the youth are interested about continuing this change of fortune under this administration, if the youth are primarily interested about sustaining the growth and development of the youth constituency, we have to ensure that we elect leaders who have plans and programs for us. In this case in Kwara, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak is the only Guba aspirant who has that history, who has that record. I'm pretty sure that if he's supported to come back into office, he will simply do more by introducing programs and sustaining policies that will grant young people freedom, young people opportunity, young people access to grow, thrive and succeed both in enterprise and leadership. So I want to appeal to the young people of Kwara State to not allow people who had not been able to show in the past that they cared for them to come back again. That would be a very grave mistake. We have now seen the light. We have even enjoyed the illumination of being cared for, of being recognized, of being supported. So we must never allow darkness to return to this state. The dark times have gone and it must belong to the past. This light that has come must be sustained, must be upheld to shine brighter for longer and for better for the growth and development of the youth constituency and the state in general. So the governor of Kwara State, Hon Ibraheem Abdullateef, would do so much more for the people, we do so much more for the young people, we do so much more for our state in general if we all rally around him to return as the governor of Kwara State from 2023 to 2027. Thank you so much. Before I even graduated from the university, I'd been writing articles on national dailies, advocating for the empowerment of women in politics and leadership. I also have articles on social media and elsewhere where I also say that women should be protected through better laws on the issues of rape and sexual harassment. So my position on that is clear. Women needs to be protected, women needs to be respected, women needs to be encouraged, women needs to be carefully and deliberately allowed to thrive both in enterprise, business and leadership. And the way to go about it is for people is for people to continually to speak for them, is for people to continually make space for them through advocacy and through laws, so that at the end of the day we are not entirely annihilating the other half of the population for primordial sentiment and ego. If you look at it, women have about the same size, the same number as men in the society, if not more. So when you give all the opportunities to men alone, it simply means you are alienating the other half of the society, which speaks to the fact that you are underutilizing their potential and it is not good for us. So for the society to move better and faster, for our society to grow stronger, we need everyone on board. And the women folks are the largest demography. They are very much important. They are also been proven to be very competent when they are given tasks, and we must ensure that we have more women leaders, more women entrepreneurs, so that our society will grow more inclusive, our society will grow more stronger, our society will grow better as one under the same God. Thank you so much. For anyone seeking an elective office, people judge them by several points, by several indices. But the most important thing people would naturally judge you by, if you are seeking an office, is your track record. Okay, what have you been able to do in previous offices that you had? Or if you have never had any office before, what are the plans that you are known with as someone seeking a public office? Now, I ask you to look at these things. Out of everyone contesting for the office of the governor in 2023, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak is the only one who has been able to show clearly and credibly what he can do for the people of Kwara State. So it simply speaks to the fact that he has been tested and he is trusted. But for every other person out there, they are going to be learning on the job. They are newbie who have not been able to convince the people of Kwara State about their plans or policies or even the capacity to handle the task of leading a state like Kwara State. That's number one. Number two is the fact that you do not change a good leader for an unknown, unproven one, especially in this situation that we find ourselves. Kwara needs to put his best man forward, and in this case, the best man for the job is clearly Abdulrahman Abdulrazak. So why do we need to change him, especially when people generally agree that he has done very well in the last 3.5 years? Let me now also tell you something. Every aspirant other than Abdulrahman Abdulrazak for the office of the governor in 2023 also understand that Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has done very well. But you might need to ask them, why are they contesting against him? For some of them, the interests are known. For instance, if you are looking for an alternative to Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, are we going to invite the candidate of the PDP? Because we know the candidate of the PDP is not contesting for the position of the governor of Kwara State. The candidate of the PDP is seeking for an opportunity for a PA to the governor of Kwara State, because this is our history. We have been there before. We had one in the past like him who could barely make order by himself for the interest of the people of Kwara State, and we saw the reality. The reality was that civil servants were owed salary. The reality was that youth were never given the opportunity to thrive. The reality was that our women folk were denied access to power, were denied empowerment. The reality was that pensioners were literally dying because they were not paid their dues. And we would say we had a governor even at that point, right? The reality was that we never had a governor at that point. What we had was a PA to the governor who was waiting for someone to give him order, and if the order didn't come, he was not going to do anything. So that's that about that. Now look at the other candidate. Let's look at the person from SDP. Aside from the fact that the contestant from SDP has not been able to convince even his family that he is competent enough to be the governor of Kwara State at this point, he is also not considered credible enough by the people of Kwara State to lead them in 2023. He has issues of competence hanging around his neck. He has issues of inexperience hanging around his neck, and this person is also generally considered as a desperate person who would not even spare the memory of his father to seek collaboration with the people who he fought, till his death. I mean, so that kind of person who cannot even carry on the legacy of his family, is he the person you are expecting to lead our state credibly well in 2023? So I'm telling you categorically that there is no credible alternative to the governor of Kwara State, Malam Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, because he is the guy who has been able to show that he is trustworthy, is proven, is competent, and is experienced for the job. Every other person are just, every other person is just coming around to try, to use Kwara to learn the art of leadership, and Kwara does not need learners in 2023. Kwara need leaders to position it further on the table of development in the country and in the continent in general. So I'm quite confident that Kwarans are going to vote en masse for Abdulrahman Abdulrazak to return to office as the governor of Kwara State from 2023 to 2027, based on the outstanding performance he has put up in the last 3.5 years, and also due to the fact that he is the only guy that is tested and trusted to put our state on the map of progress and development. Thank you so much. We have a fantastic relationship, and what choice do we even have? It will be in gratitude to the governor, in gratitude to the state, that we are being presented with an opportunity to serve the people of Kwara State, and we are not even united behind that cause. So if I tell you that the youth in this administration, you know, have a fantastic relationship with one another, partnering, collaborating, organizing on ways by which we can impact on the people, we can impact in the community, and can impact on the state in general. And this is what should be, this is naturally what should be done. We were never this lucky, we were never this fortunate. This set of young people in Kwara, has to be the youngest in the history of the state, holding several strategic positions, of leadership. So we have to do well by our constituency. We have to show that if given opportunity, young people can perform excellently, young people can make changes and impact, and not doing so. Any act that shows that we are doing otherwise is not only an ingratitude to the government, it is also going to be a betrayal to other young people who might eventually suffer from whatever wrongdoing that we commit now as the ambassadors in government. So I assure you, our young people in this government enjoy a fantastic relationship with one another, as much as we also enjoy fantastic relationship from young people outside of the government. The All Progressive Congress, APC, has the best candidate on offer for the 2023 presidential polls. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a proven performer in all the positions he ever held all his life, from his days as an activist to his day as governor, two-term governor of Lagos State, to his days as the national leader of the party, and now as the candidate of the party for the 2023 presidential polls. All he has ever done is to prove that he is trustworthy, is credible, is competent, and kind to solve the myriad of challenges bedeviling the people and the country in general. Asiwaju is known far and wide as a thinking head, one who naturally has the courage and the brain to move solutions to problems. He is an innovative person, and he is a thinker, and it is this kind of person this country need to drive it forward. So as a party, when you have that kind of candidate, you are very confident that you are going to succeed in the post, because in the end, what people want is a leader who can solve their problems, What people want is a leader who they can trust. What people want is a leader who speaks for them. And this is what Asiwaju has demonstrated all his life, both in the private and public sector. So our party is very much prepared to deliver Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima in the February polls. It is clear for the people of Kwara State, the choice before them is to go backward or to move forward. And as a progressive state, I know Kwarans as progressive people who naturally are patriotic and driven by the growth and progress of their state. So I'm quite confident that looking back at what the governor has done, people has already decided to stick to the government of APC so as to ensure the continuity of the development that has taken place in the last 3 years. It is under this administration that civil servants no longer fall dead because they are being owed salaries. It is under this administration that the pensioners get their due as at when due. It is under this administration that the female folks now have a new lease of life. It is under this administration that young people are now being recognized and granted opportunity to succeed and thrive in enterprise and leadership. It is under this administration that otherwise forgotten communities in rural areas are now enjoying the dividends of democracy. It is under this administration that we have been able to remain secured even at a point that several other states are not as safe for living and for business. But it's under this administration that the people of Kwara State now enjoy the dignity, now enjoy the respect they deserve as a people. They know and understand what was at play before. How many people even had access to the governor? How many people could complain and have their voices, reckoned with? How many people could say that before now he or she was sure that he was going to be paid salary, or he was even safe when he criticized the government for not doing what they were elected for? But today, the freedom of expression is entrenched, the right to liberty is protected, the right to dignity is strengthened. It is only under this administration and the APC this can be enjoyed. So for the people of Kwara State, like I said earlier, it's a choice between going backward and going forward. And they have already accepted that what is best for them and what is best for the state in general is to move forward. The only person, the only candidate on offer to move Kwara forward is Governor Abdulraham Abdulrazak. So I'm quite confident that by the special grace of God, he is going to be re-elected to continue as the leader, as the servant of the people of Kwara State from 2023 to 2027. Thank you so much. Dear young people of Kwara State, I've come to talk to you as a brother, as a friend. I've come to talk to you as a believer in your ability, in your capacity, and as a supporter of your dreams and goals. The polls before us is one where we decide whether to move forward or to remain stagnant or even go backward. We have now had an opportunity to have a leader who cares genuinely for us, who supports us, who recognize and encourage talent and industry that we encompass as young people. The time has now come to support him, to encourage him, so as to continue to enjoy this change of fortune under his administration. What will be very catastrophic, will be a terrible judgment if people do not support this kind of person. But it would even be unpardonable for young people to be among those people. So I urge young people to support a leader who is for us. I urge young people to support other candidates too, who we understand have plans and programs for us. I also want to warn young people that we are now like the torch bearers of the generations to come. The decision that we make today would lead to the progress or otherwise of it in the next few years. I'm very sure and certain that we will make the right decision by voting for Abdulrahman Abdulrazak and every other credible youth-loving candidate, so that the lot of the youth can get better in the state and in the country in general. The baton is now in our hand. I hope that we will run with it well, because the light starts with us. It doesn't end now. Let's push it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.